Good morning, children. Today we'll see the transportation in plants and also excretion. Okay. In last class we have studied how transport of oxygen takes place from lungs to other parts of the body through a circulatory system, from where oxygen from lungs, that is from alveoli, through capillaries it moves to the heart by pulmonary vein, and from heart to other parts of the body. Similarly, from other parts of the body, carbon dioxide moves through a vein called vena cava to the heart. From there again it moves to lungs through pulmonary artery, and carbon dioxide gets transported to lungs, and from there it moves out of the body. That we have seen in the last class. And at the end, I think I mistakenly said that birds have 3-chambered heart. No, birds and human bodies, terrestrial animals, have 4-chambered heart because we need more energy to do work. Birds to fly, it requires more energy, so it has 4-chambered heart. Whereas amphibians like frog and reptiles like lizards, snakes, amphibians and reptiles have 3-chambered heart, where carbon dioxide and oxygen mixing. To some extent, it's okay, it's not a problem for those animals because they live both in water and land. Whereas aquatic animals like fishes, they have 2-chambered heart, where carbon dioxide is taken in, oxygen is taken in through mouth and it is pushed through gills throughout the body. Fishes have only 2-chambered heart. Today we will see how transportation of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide, food and water, that takes place in plants. We have seen in photosynthesis that exchange of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place through stomata in leaves. Carbon dioxide is taken in through stomata and oxygen is given back in through stomata itself. Right? Food, we know that it is synthesized in the leaves through photosynthesis, and energy is stored in the form of glucose. Whereas water, we have seen in photosynthesis that water is taken up from roots through to leaves. Right? In photosynthesis we have seen. Now let us see in small shrubs like grass or small plants, movement of water or food, it is by simple diffusion. It's just by diffusion it moves because it's very small plant. Whereas in trees, it's not so. Trees are very big, just by simple diffusion, just by movement it can't flow. Anything to that extent, either water or food, it cannot happen by itself. So there is a process. There are tissues called vascular bundles. In big trees, transport of either food and water takes place through vascular bundles. You have studied vascular bundles, that is xylem and phloem, in your earlier classes. Right? If I write a tree, this is just a small diagram. Water and minerals, water along with minerals, roots of the trees absorb these water and minerals from the soil and moves from roots, absorb water and minerals from the soil, and it moves up and reaches other parts of the plant like leaves through xylem. Xylem is a water conducting tissue through which water and minerals from roots moves to other parts of the plant. Okay. Similarly, foods such as glucose, amino acids and other salts are such. It moves from leaves to other parts of the plant through phloem. Phloem is a food conducting tissue, whereas xylem is a water conducting tissue. Okay. Food moves from leaves to other parts of the plant, and also it moves from, at the later stage of the plant, it also moves from other parts to seeds. Okay, whereas phloem in xylem, water conducting, is only from roots to leaves. It's not the reverse. Whereas food, it moves in both the ways, from leaves to other parts and other parts to sometimes to leaves also. Leaves or seeds, whatever. Okay. Now, by knowing all this, shall we see what are the differences between xylem transport and phloem transport? How transport takes place? What are the differences between xylem transport and phloem transport in plants? Xylem transport, in xylem, water moves. Water and minerals move from roots to other parts of the plant. Whereas in phloem transport, glucose, amino acids and other food materials moves from leaves to other parts of the plant. And also from other parts to leaves. So, direction, when we say the direction of flow, it is unidirectional. In only single direction it flows, from roots to other plants. Whereas phloem transport, it is bidirectional. From top to bottom and sometimes from bottom to top also it moves. It moves in both the ways. Okay. In initial stages it is from top to bottom. At later stages it is from bottom to top. So it is bidirectional. Okay. Next, water moves from root to leaves by simple diffusion, because by a process due to transpirational pull. Transpirational pull ಅನ್ನೋ force, it helps to move water and minerals from root to leaves. What is transpirational pull? Let's see afterwards. Now, whereas phloem transport, it does not happen as itself. It needs energy. It requires ATP for the transport. Okay? Whereas xylem transport does not require energy. Just by suction, it moves. And in stomata, in leaves, water gets evaporated in the form of water vapor. That is transpiration. That we have seen in photosynthesis itself, how water moves in the water evaporates through stomata in the form of vapor. That is called transpiration. Since transpiration happens, ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಎಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎವಾಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ರೂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ಹಂಗೆ ಎವಾಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಖಾಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ರೂಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಮೋರ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್. ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್. Transpiration, evaporation ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ it needs more water, so it creates a suction. So roots absorb more water and gives more to the leaves. That is transpiration pull. That's a suction created by transpiration. So water and mineral transport happens in leaves. Okay. Now you got what is transpiration, what is transpirational pull. It is a suction created by transpiration of water in the form of vapor through stomata. Okay. Whereas transport of food materials, soluble food particles in mass, in bulk, it is called translocation. That transport we term it as translocation. Okay. These are the differences between xylem and phloem transport. Now we have seen transpiration. What are the advantages of transpiration? Uses of transpiration. Is it a waste? Whatever the water that gets evaporated, is it called a waste? Or does it have any advantages for the plant? Okay. If water accumulates more in the plant itself without transpiration, plants collapse. It becomes turgid and plants collapse. Root starts dying. Because roots become stagnant in water and root starts dying, so plants collapse. Whereas if transpiration happens, suction roots also will be active because it keeps sucking the water, pulling the water from the soil. So roots also will be active, so plants will be alive. So transpiration helps in suction of water and minerals from the roots through the soil. That is one advantage. Second advantage, since it evaporates, plants is protected by temperature regulation. It protects the plant from temperature regulation. Then bislali more water is evaporated, more water is sucked. Nearly less water is transported and it protects the plant from dehydration. So it helps in both the environment, both hot and cold. Transpiration maintains the temperature of the plant. Okay, these are the two advantages of transpiration for plants. Okay, now we are seeing how water and food particles gets transported in plants. Now let us go to the last life process, that is excretion. Excretion, we have seen transportation in plants. How excretion happens in plants? First we will see how excretion happens in plants, then we will go to excretion in human beings. What happens to First we will see what is excretion. It's a process of removal of toxic or harmful wastes, chemical wastes that are not required for the body. That has to be removed. Okay, that is a simple definition for excretion. It's a process of removal of toxic chemical wastes. Okay, now let us see what are toxic to plants. Oxygen by itself, if more oxygen is there in the plant, carbohydrate synthesis does not happen. That because it inhibits the production of carbohydrate to carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. So oxygen should get evaporated. It gets evaporated through stomata. Okay. Now, what is the second toxic product for this? Water. We know through stomata only it gets evaporated by transpiration. And some of the things which are not required for the body, for the plants, like more of minerals that are not required. What happens? Minerals that is not required, it moves into vacuoles. Vacuoles of the cells. Plant cellular vacuoles is the biggest structure, right? Within the plant cell. Organelle. Vacuole is the biggest organelle in plant cells. Most of the toxic materials within the cells are absorbed by vacuoles, where it gets digested within the vacuoles. If not get digested, those cells starts dying. And then leaves, we have seen leaves withering off, leaves bidokta irate. Those are the leaves which gets fallen off or gets dried by itself and goes off because it has wastes in it. Okay, one sati nodira maragallalli one season ella ಎಲೆಗಳು ಉದುರೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Again it starts, in spring it starts giving new leaves and it sheds off the leaves which are unwanted, which have waste. Okay, and some of the things through roots, some of the unwanted materials gets exchanged into the soil again from roots. These are the small excretory system that is present in plants. Oxygen, water, some of the waste materials gets excreted through vacuoles, absorbed by vacuoles and gets fallen off, leaves get fallen off. And some of the things, it moves back to the soil through roots. These are the simple excretion. We have seen excretion in plants. Now let us see how excretion happens in other organisms. For example, in unicellular organisms, most of the waste products, toxic products, gets digested in the vacuoles. Okay, For example, in amoeba, whatever the food that is left of waste or harmful substances get absorbed into the vacuole, and there it gets digested and it is excreted to the surroundings. Similarly, in paramecium, everything gets, waste products gets decomposed in the vacuole itself and it gets excreted to the surroundings. Whereas in human beings, how excretion takes place? In human beings, please don't get disturbed, confused with the excretion of undigested food. The undigested food, what we eject from large intestine through anus, is not called excretion. Excretion is the removal of toxic chemical substances that is present in the blood in the form of urine. The toxic chemical waste which we excrete in the form of urine is called excretion. Okay? This excretion is carried out by the system called excretory system. Excretory system. In blood we have seen many substances such as glucose. Blood plasma contains glucose, amino acids, salts, urea, uric acid, ammonia and other things. All these chemicals that are present in the blood, to some extent, to some level, everything is fine. If it is too much, it becomes toxic. If glucose is high in the blood, we will get diabetic. If salts is more in the blood, if it is more, we will get high BP. If it is less, we will get low BP. And urea, uric acid, ammonia. Urea, uric acid, ammonia are called nitrogenous waste products. This is the most important waste that has to be excreted, especially urea, uric acid and ammonia, nitrogenous waste products. If this is more, this indicates that kidney is not functioning and we will get joint pains. We will also get a disease called gout. If uric acid is more, we will get a disease called gout, where swellings of legs, joints, everything will happen. Okay? So, and excess water, even excess water present in the body is not good. That has to be excreted in the form of urine. Okay? So, excretory system contains two kidneys, two ureters, urethra and urinary bladder. See, this is a diagram of showing excretory system. It has two kidneys. These are the two kidneys, bean-shaped two kidneys. To this, a tube called ureters are connected. Two ureters from two kidneys. This is a tube that brings urine formed in the kidneys to urinary bladder. These ureters bring the urine formed in the kidney to urinary bladder. This is a muscular bladder where urine is collected. Once it is filled, once the urinary bladder is filled, we feel urgency to pass the urine. That time a muscle called sphincter muscle. This acts like a tap. It opens up and allows urine to pass through urethra. This is a urethra and urinary bladder gets emptied. Okay, this is the excretory system. To this excretory system, for the kidney, there is an artery connected where it brings oxygen to the kidneys, and after everything, urine is formed and urine is passed through this thing. There is a vein, renal vein, which carries carbon dioxide and pure blood. And after filtration, the blood passes through the vein carrying carbon dioxide. Okay. Now let us see what is the function of kidney. How urine is formed in the kidney. In kidney there is a structure called nephron. Nephron is usually a structural and functional unit of kidney. Structural and functional unit of kidney is called nephron. It is present in large numbers. Kidney has numerous number of nephrons. Each nephron carry two functions. It carry out two functions, mainly ultrafiltration and reabsorption. Main function of these nephrons is to do ultrafiltration and reabsorption. Let us see what is ultrafiltration and reabsorption. This is a structure of nephron. You should know how to write the excretory system and also nephron. Diagrams you have to practice it, okay? There is a cup-shaped structure called Bowman's capsule. Nephron has a cup-shaped structure called Bowman's capsule, and it has a foldings here. This is called a renal tubule. This is a Bowman's capsule, and this is a renal tubule, tubes. Here first there is a folding, that is called convoluted tubules, first and second. There is a U tube. First convoluted tubule followed by U tube and second convoluted tubule, which is connected later to the collecting duct. Here urine gets collected. Let us see how blood filters its waste products in the kidney. Here you can see the renal artery where blood comes with the oxygen, carrying all the waste products. Along with the oxygen, blood mass has all waste products. It has to be filtered here, right? It passes through the renal artery. In the Bowman's capsule, renal artery, it divides into network of capillaries, small capillaries. It's a mass of capillaries present in the Bowman's capsule called glomerulus. Glomerulus is a network of capillaries formed from renal artery. In these capillaries, blood flows with a high pressure. Here blood flows with a high pressure. Due to that pressure in the capillaries, blood gets filtered out. It filters all these excess salts, urea, uric acid, etc. All these waste products which is in excess gets filtered here. That filtrate passes through the Bowman's capsule, passes through it, and it enters the renal tubule. This filtrate is called glomerular filtrate. Since it is passed through glomerulus, this is called glomerular filtrate, which contains glucose, amino acids, salts, urea, all these toxic products which is in excess. That passes through the renal tubule. In this renal tubule, the required amount of nutrients that are required for the body, such as glucose, amino acids, little salts and more of water, that gets absorbed from the blood. Here the blood artery, after filtration, it moves and coils around this tubule and it enters the vein. This artery, it coils around the tubules and finally it attaches to the vein. While coiling this, here reabsorption, the required vital nutrients for the body such as glucose, amino acids, more amount of water, little salts gets reabsorbed in this renal tubule and the blood moves to the, connects the vein where it carries carbon dioxide. Okay. This filtration, this absorption in the renal tubule, after reabsorption, the remaining filtrate after reabsorption is called urine. That contains urea, uric acid, more salts and less water. That moves to the collecting duct and it enters the urinary bladder. This collecting duct is called ureters, which connects to the urinary bladder. You know how urine is formed? It gets filtered here and it moves to the renal tubule where vital required nutrients such as glucose, amino acids, more of water and less of salts gets reabsorbed here. Reabsorption takes place in the renal tubule. Filtration takes place in the Bowman's capsule by glomerulus. Okay. Now, can we control urine? How can we control the amount of urine that is produced in the kidney? That depends on the amount of water and amount of these nutrients present in the blood. If we drink less of water and if we have less of nutrients food, this will be less. So urine production will be less. Is it good if we control nutrients and if we don't eat? Is it good for our body? No. Okay. If we control all these things, or if these nutrients, toxic chemicals is more in the body, or if we don't pass urine for 1 day, 1.5 day, that indicates that kidney is not functioning. Our kidney has been failed. What to do if one kidney is present? That's okay, we can manage. But if both the kidneys are not working, we have to undergo dialysis. That is, artificial dialysis machine acts as a artificial kidney and removes the toxic chemicals present in the blood. Whole blood is passed through that machine so that it filters all the waste products. Okay, if kidney is not functioning, we have to undergo dialysis. That is artificial kidney. Okay, this is how excretion happens in our body. Now, this is a last life processes that we see in this chapter. First we saw nutrition, next respiration, transportation, and finally excretion. These are. Now to briefly summarize this chapter. Life processes. We studied nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion. We have studied all this. In this nutrition, plants produce oxygen and glucose, carbohydrates during photosynthesis. Right? Then human beings create this food synthesized by the plants, that is glucose, and we got digested in our digestive system, that is alimentary canal, and excess glucose and required nutrients are absorbed again back to our body in the small intestine. And in respiration, the oxygen produced by the plants is utilized as a gas, required ingredient for respiration, where we took oxygen from here through our nose and got absorbed into the lungs. From lungs, oxygen is transported via circulatory system to all parts of the body. Oxygen was required for external as well as cellular respiration. That for cellular respiration we got oxygen through transportation, circulatory system. Then through circulatory system, whatever the waste materials that are developed, stored in the blood, got filtered in the excretory system. Whatever the medicines that we take, after left out medicines also get excreted during excretion. Okay. All these processes are very important for a normal human being or any organism to that extent to have a normal life. That is called life processes. Life processes are the important processes that are required for a normal functioning of the organism. Okay. Example, nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion are some of the examples of life processes that we have in our body. Okay. This is the end of the first chapter. Thank you.